So you've already started to see the press rollout for Disney's Strange World, right? That's going to come out next week, just in advance of Thanksgiving. Presumably it'll do big box office because parents won't know what to do with their kids over the Thanksgiving Day weekend. So here is your warning. If you're a parent and you do not wish your kids to see a gay teen romance, don't take your kids to see Strange World. Your choice, your kids. I'm just giving you the heads up. Disney has said that they have a not at all secret gay agenda. They said this publicly, openly, in giant meetings. The heads of Disney talked about their trans kid and their non-gender binary kids and how everybody, your kids, need to be educated in the ways of this sort of subjective individualist sexual culture. It's very important that your kids be indoctrinated into this. Well, we already had Lightyear, which was a dramatic fail at the box office, featuring a lesbian couple targeted at 5, 6, 7-year-old kids. And now Strange World, which is targeted at 5, 6, 7-year-old kids, features a gay teen romance. Isn't this exciting stuff? Because this is what America is truly the value that I think stands for all of us is gay teen romance for small children. The New York Daily News reported this all the way back in June. Quote, Disney's upcoming adventure film Strange World will feature a gay teen romance, the first in an animated feature produced by Walt Disney Animation Studios. Again, the idea here is that Walt Disney has to please its animation employees. This isn't about pleasing the audiences. Where was the broad parental demand for a gay teen romance for kids? Was that something that parents were clamoring for? Oh man, I definitely need to show my 7-year-old two teenage boys wanting to mac on each other. That's definitely, I think, something that 5-year-olds need. Like, who's that crowd precisely? Where was the market demanding this sort of stuff? The film, which is scheduled to open next week, will follow 3 generations of a family of explorers and take viewers to a place of infinite mystery, unlike anything you've ever seen. Well, that's a weird promise. Several Hollywood powerhouses have been confirmed as part of the voice cast, including Jake Gyllenhaal, Gabrielle Union, Lucy Liu, Dennis Quaid, and Jabuki Young White. One of the sequences that Disney filmed months ago shows Ethan, who's a 16-year-old, flirting with a boy named Diazo in front of his friends, who tease him in a friendly way. His father, Searcher Clade, who is Jake Gyllenhaal, later joins in and embarrasses him in an overeager show of acceptance. It's beautiful, guys. Emmy Award-winning producer Matthew Shigeshi, who saw the sequence, wrote on Twitter the scene is very endearing and it's treated as the most natural thing in the world. The scene describes the son being very shy in front of his boy crush, and his dad comes in and says, so nice to meet you. My son talks about you all the time, and further embarrasses his son. Very cute. Very cute indeed. If this is the sort of stuff that you wish to teach to your kids, which is the idea that all sexual relationships are of the same moral stature, that all human relationships are equivalent in every available way, and that sexuality is entirely biological, except when it's not biological at all and is fluid. So if you wish to teach your kids that, by all means, take them to see Strange World. And if maybe you don't want to indoctrinate your kids in this crap, perhaps you should stop giving your money to Disney+. One of the reasons that we here at DW Plus have decided to dedicate $100 million to children's programming over the next couple of years is because we would like to provide a safe space for our kids. I got to tell you, it is very difficult being a parent these days and trying to keep your kids learning about traditional values in a world that attempts to foist on them at literally every turn that traditional values are evil and terrible and bigoted. It's very difficult. When people give books to my kids, I have to read the books first before I screen the books for my kids. Now you can hear the hue and cry from the left as Media Matters clips this. Oh my gosh, he screens books. Yes, because I am a good parent. This is what good parents do. I wouldn't let my kids read horror books, and I wouldn't let my kids read books about the innate moral value of every sexual relationship. That's not something I want my kids believing because I don't think it's true. I think it cuts against basic human institutions. I think it cuts against the future of their happiness. I think it cuts in favor of confusion and depression and suicidal ideation. I think that there are a lot of problems with the value system that we've been teaching our kids, as reflected by the increase in depression, suicidal ideation, and confusion in young Americans, teens and preteens. We'll get to more on this in just a second. First, in an economy as volatile as this one is, it's important to have control when you're making a big purchase, like a new car. And this is where Carzing comes into play. Carzing is completely changing the way you buy a car online. An online car shopping website with millions of listed vehicles, Carzing works with over 25,000 dealers nationwide and helps you find your dream car. By partnering with credit agencies, lenders, and dealerships, Carzing provides you with everything you need before you set foot into the dealership. Their mission is to make auto financing quick and easy while providing a modern, hassle-free way of shopping for cars. If you've ever gone shopping for a car before, it's a giant pain in the butt. You think you found a listing, and then you get there, and they want to negotiate with you, and you don't actually have the comps, and it's just a mess. Not so with Carzing. Basically, they allow you to shop in the most transparent possible fashion in an industry that's never had any of that. Their innovative technology and financial tools provide consumers with the ability to instantly pre-qualify online without affecting your credit score. Plus, you can search for vehicles with instant financing details, including down payment, monthly payment, term, and APR. Once you find your dream car at your ideal budget, all you have to do is bring your saved deal voucher with you to the dealership and finalize your next ride. CarZing offers you transparency to the max. You're going to know your purchasing options before you ever go to the dealership. It makes the whole process a lot more convenient. Again, you can look at the site without ever having to purchase. It's great. Transparency is the key. Visit carzing.com/Ben today. Skip the guesswork. Find the best deals near you. That's carzing.com/Ben. So you have to screen everything right now. That's why one of our goals here at Daily Wire Plus is we'll do the screening for you. We'll just make the content. And then you can trust, because we share your values, that we are not going to cram down all the values of the progressive left, the transgressive left on your kids. Disney has no such qualms. In fact, this is their goal. And they've openly stated this is not by accident. They're doing this because this is part of an agenda. If you choose to back that agenda, you're a parent, you can make that choice. But you should at least be informed of the agenda before you take your kids to see stuff like this. Meanwhile, as we say, this is the most important issue on the left right now. As always, the LGBTQ agenda on a social level. This is the quote-unquote new civil rights movement. This is something the left is always looking for, is the new civil rights movement. The civil rights movement was the high watermark of morality for the left. Correctly, because the civil rights movement was excellent. Okay, and then we extended the same rubric of civil rights to a bunch of things that are not the same as race. Sexuality is not the same as race. Sexual behavior is not the same as race. These things are not the same as race. We extended that rubric because, again, the left is constantly looking for what is our next civil rights battle so that we can be the moral heroes. And for them right now, it's gay marriage. So with the Democrats taking the Senate, they are now going to move ahead with a vote on a gay marriage bill. Now, what is the purpose of a gay marriage bill? There is no purpose to a gay marriage bill. Obergefell has already been ruled upon. And a simple gay marriage bill is not even a constitutional amendment. So it's not even above and beyond the Supreme Court ruling. The Supreme Court ruling is still the law. If the Supreme Court ruling were overturned, a quick majority in the Senate could quickly overturn this law. Okay, but the idea here is that you're going to get all the Republicans on record as to whether they support or do not support same-sex marriage. Now, let me just put this out there for the Republican senators. If you vote in favor of the idea that society has an obligation to recognize male-male or female-female dyads in the same way that society has an obligation to recognize male-female, you should not be in the Republican Party. You shouldn't. Okay, the reason I say this is not because I wish to shrink the size of the Republican Party. Because if the fundamental basis of human society is male-female child, and you think that by passing a law you can change that reality, you do not belong in government. This is a very simple proposition. Men and men are not the same as a man and a woman who are capable of becoming one flesh and producing a child. This is not difficult stuff. Many Republicans will be tempted to vote for this simply to avoid the conflict, so that people don't yell at them. Oh my gosh, you're not respecting love is love. Now, first of all, the love is love argument was always bullcrap. The left doesn't even believe love is love. The left has its own restrictions on what it believes is acceptable, at least for now. The left does not actually believe that all sexual relationships are perfectly equivalent. They would not presumably be in favor of brother-brother marriage. They'd not be in favor of father-daughter marriage, I would assume, for now. They're not in favor of adult-child marriage, for now. Okay, but they don't even believe that quote-unquote love is love. What they actually believe is that marriage should be redefined to mean whatever they believe it ought to mean, and that they get to socially engineer society along the lines of their utopian visions, in which individual sexual preference is the core of human identity, as opposed to, actual biological reality in which the most important thing that human beings do is procreate, have babies, and then live inside those relationships, bring up those kids. Now, the Republicans can pretend along with this in order to avoid controversy, but it just shows how gutless they are if they do. So what exactly will this bill do? Supposedly, it will protect all religious liberty and conscience protections available under the Constitution or federal law, including but not limited to the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, and prevents this bill from being used to diminish or repeal any such protections. It confirms that nonprofit religious organizations will not be required to provide any services, facilities, or goods for the solemnization or celebration of a marriage. It guarantees the bill may not be used to deny or alter any benefit, right, or status of an otherwise eligible person or entity, including tax-exempt status, tax treatment, contracts, agreements, etc. So it's giving basically a bunch of carve-outs to religious organizations. It makes clear the bill does not require or authorize the federal government to recognize polygamous marriages. I find that hilarious because I'm just wondering what moral basis Democrats have to declare that polygamous marriages are morally inferior to same-sex marriages. I need the actual rubric by which you say that 2 is different in kind than 3 or 4, and why that difference in kind is significantly more important than the difference in kind between male-female and male-male. The bill would also recognize the importance of marriage, acknowledging that diverse beliefs and the people who hold them are due respect and affirms that couples, including same-sex and interracial couples, deserve the dignity, stability, and ongoing protection. Okay, again, the reason that they are putting interracial couples in there is because they know that everybody approves of interracial couples. The acceptance, correctly, of interracial couples in America is at an all-time high. They're putting that in there, so if you vote against the bill, they can then claim you're a racist. It's a particularly stupid trick that they use for omnibus packages. They'll put in there a bunch of crap, and then they'll be like, plus funding for the police. You vote against the bill, like, you hate funding for the police. Yeah, this is the dumb game that they're playing right here. But no, actually, diverse views of marriage are not required to be upheld by the government of the United States. It turns out that words have definition. Marriage is a word with a definition. The changing definition of the word marriage cannot simply be done by rote at the top levels of government by a bunch of people who believe they are your moral betters with little to back that particular assessment. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be getting into U.S. soccer, which is promoting the rainbow flag rather than the American flag at the World Cup. If you're not a member, click the link in the description and join us.